Hi, my name is Jesse Martin, and I'm here to talk to you today about the story of the Okanagan Bass Anglers. But we need to start at the beginning, and that is what exactly is bass fishing and why is it different than any other type of fishing? Here's why. Now, when you think of fishing, you typically think of like somebody in a boat, or maybe on a river, in a stream, maybe they have a fly rod in their hand. There's all sorts of different things. But bass fishing is none of those. Bass fishing is like half fishing and half like NASCAR, where you'll see like professional bass anglers who wear like jerseys with like sponsor logos and decals all over them, and they drive boats that can go like 70 or 80 miles an hour, and they're fishing as fast as they can, trying to catch as many fish as they can in as short a time as possible. It's intense. But that's not what brought me to the sport. What appealed to me, I remember the turning point or where it all happened was when I was 5 years old, and I was camping with my parents, and I remember having a magazine that I picked up in a store and had these pictures of fish, and I could read at that age. I was a bright little guy, and I was reading about bass, and I was like, wow, this is like a big thing, this bass fishing. And we ended up camping at this campground that was on a pond, and in the pond we caught a bunch of fish the night before. None of them were bass, but I went out the next morning by myself. My parents let me go out with the open camper door, and I caught a fish, and that fish was my first bass. And that was the moment that me hooking that bass, it hooked me too, and I've been hooked ever since. Now, my dad was big into fishing, but he never caught bass. He caught like trout and everything else growing up. And I didn't know anybody that bass fished where I grew up in the Kootenays. Nobody did it. Nobody talked about it. It wasn't a thing. I didn't even grow up within like 2 hours of a lake that had bass. But I just knew that there was something about it. It really appealed to me, and I wanted to learn more about it. And so I watched TV shows, I read magazines, I got books. And when I had an opportunity to go, I would go bass fishing, and it was always like a highlight or something really cool when I caught one. So that just one particular type of fishing just really grabbed onto me, and it became a big part of my identity. And that stuck with me from a young age. And when people ask me what bass fishing is, I always tell them it's like the redneck version of golf. You know, the people that do it are often old, they're often male, and they're often white. And that's the typical bass fisherman. They're the stereotypical. Now, nowadays, there's more and more of a demographic shift. And I didn't know any of this growing up. I just thought it was fun. I didn't know there was any sort of like gender or racial proclivity towards it. I just thought that it was a really fun thing to do. But as an adult, I'm forced to pay more and more attention to these things, especially one in academia and one who's the president of my own bass fishing club, the Okanagan Bass Anglers. And it's a role I've chosen. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. But essentially, this is what bass fishing is. It is people that enjoy spending time out on a lake pursuing a green spotted fish that you may have seen singing on a wall somewhere, and harassing it, hooking it in the mouth. But it's a hardy, tough fish that can take being caught. And the fishing itself is just fun. It's just a good way of communicating with nature, even though nature is not always willing participant. But it's something that'll hook you. And I've seen dozens of people get hooked from the first day out. So that's bass fishing to me. It's being in touch with nature, connecting with people, and just enjoying the great outdoors. That's it. Bass fishing. Now, for the rest of this presentation, we're going to talk about how the Okanagan Bass Anglers came to be and the importance of leadership in the largest bass fishing club in Western Canada. Yes, we are. Thank you.